First story. I 28M. Feel like my wife 26F has been cheating on me with a woman. Am I just insecure? And what do I do? To preface this, my wife is bisexual and has recently been talking about wanting to explore her sexuality, and that not getting to would be a deal breaker for her, so we tried to compromise. I do not have an issue with her kissing, making out with other women, as long as it stays strictly that unless I am involved. As long as no feelings are involved, and I am communicated with. It makes me a little uncomfortable. But me and my wife have an agreement that she can kiss other women as long as we make time to do the sexual kinks that I want to do, consensually of course, and nothing extreme, so that we both get what we want. Although she is getting what she wants quite regularly, and I have only gotten what I want once in the past year. She has also cheated with a woman in the past. She went to hang out with a woman a few years ago, made out with her at this woman's house, texted about it, and kept it from me. I found the texts on her laptop and confronted her about it without telling her what I had seen. She denied it, and only after telling her about the texts just she admit to it, but only to a portion of what the evidence displayed. I also am home with the kids 24/7 when I am not working, and I am home with them while she goes out. My wife is a waitress at a family-owned restaurant in the area, and has begun staying out with friends, drinking occasionally, and getting high at one specific friend's house after work and staying out until 2 - 6 a.m. She has one specific bisexual female co-worker that she spends most of her time texting, talking about, and going over to her house. This co-worker of her has a boyfriend who is abusive and doesn't want her getting physical with other women, but he supposedly leaves to sell weed after she gets home. My wife has been going over to her house a lot recently, and just went last night. She does good about updating me where she is going and what is going on. I put my children to sleep and woke up at 2:30 a.m. and she still wasn't home, and I had a terrible gut feeling. I texted her repeatedly for about an hour to no response, and then finally got up to call her, and on the third call is when she answered. She sounded like she was just doing something and was talking very low, and it was the voice that she uses when she is lying when I've caught her in the past. My gut feelings never lie, and she has never been one to just be honest with me, but it has been so long that I had put faith in her, especially because we are in marriage counseling. I communicated that I felt like she was having sex with her female coworker, and she seemed very guilty and skittish, and said that she isn't going to argue over the phone and hung up. I texted her and told her that she needed to come home so that we could have a conversation, and that I at the very least deserve the truth. She admitted to making out with her coworker, but her story didn't add up, and her story conflicted. I have no solid proof of this, but I know when she is lying, and trusting my gut has never led me astray. She claimed she was leaving but didn't come home for another 3 hours. She said that she called her best friend who lives in another state, stopped at a convenience store, and sat in her car for an hour before coming home. Which upset me because talking to her husband should take priority, especially after that. She then told me that she is frustrated with our dynamic, because she feels like she gives more than I do, even though she is making out with and kissing this girl 3-4 a week, even at work. And I have not been receiving my end of our arrangement. Anytime that I vocalize that maybe we just aren't compatible, and need to divorce so that we can get our wants and needs met elsewhere, she just gets angry, says she doesn't want to give up on us, agrees to put in more effort, continues to get her end but doesn't relieve her on mine, and it's a cycle that I am so tired of. I just want effort, loyalty, and honesty. Our marriage has been on a steady decline for a while now, and I'm extremely insecure because we don't spend time together like we used to. She doesn't pay as much attention to me. She doesn't talk about me in a positive way or post about me at all like she used to. It feels as if she is checked out, and only when I am on the way out myself does she start trying again. I myself have reached a point where I am halfway out the door, but I keep trying for the sake of our marriage. Maybe it's blatantly obvious that she is cheating and I'm just holding out for things to get better and they won't. Maybe I'm just insecure and resentful and projecting my insecurities. She went to sleep as soon as she got home and we never talked, so I'm posting this here so I don't hold on to my thoughts. I'd also like an outside opinion on the matter. Do you think she is cheating? Should I just cut my losses and hope the grass is greener? Wife stayed out all night and made out with coworker. Didn't answer texts or calls for an hour and sounded like she was in the middle of sex. Has cheated before, and I'm insecure and angry for not getting what I want and need. Update. She cheated, doesn't care, and is still texting him plans on seeing him. My wife 26 and I 28 have had a rocky relationship the past few years and it was never too healthy to begin with. We've been together for almost 9 years and married 2 years, with 2 young children, 6 and 4 years. I just found out that as of the middle of May, she has been secretly having sex with her male coworker. She began going out every night, barely responding, lying about where she was, and staying at this guy's house doing all of the nasty things we used to do together. She's been coming home at 6 a.m. extremely drunk, and there were a lot of obvious signs that I ignored because I wanted to trust her. Her vibrator suddenly went missing. She's staying out. She's not responding. She started drinking a lot even though she was never much of a drinker before. She picked up cigarettes for the first time in 6 years. We barely had sex anymore, and when we did she acted like she didn't even want to be there. She insults me and verbally abused me over anything and everything. And she only viewed me as a pathetic, incompetent piece of trash. Earlier yesterday, I mentioned that I was considering leaving because of her recent actions, and her not changing after repeatedly expressing my hurt and concerns. She begged me to not throw her away and to make it work. I met up with her later at a friend's house where she's dog sitting. She told me that she wanted to make it work and apologized for her behavior because she's been low. She then told me she had 2 proctored exams to take and that she was going to go take them at a cafe. That was a lie. She went to his house. I went through her phone last night at midnight while she fell asleep on my chest after sex. Yes, I know it was wrong, but I just had to have answers. She has been sleeping over at his house since the middle of May. She has lied to me about having work and spent the day with him. She's had anal sex with him. She's done everything with him. She spent the night at his house the day before Father's Day, and on Father's Day morning at 3:11 a.m., they filmed a video of them having sex on her phone. She came home at 10:30, hopped in the shower, went on a date with me, and then went right back to sleep over at his house that same day. They both talk shit about me and he calls me a cuck. She says she doesn't want to have sex with me and prefers it with him. She told him that she would have left me a while ago if we didn't have kids, and she doesn't think men will want a woman with children. She's expressed a desire to be in a relationship with him, but he just brushes it off and says they're just friends who fuck. He blows her off some days and she gets jealous and insecure over him. She confides in him and leans on him. I don't know what's worse, the physical or the emotional cheating. This guy had a girlfriend when they started the affair, and he knows of me and my kids' existence. I've seen this guy stare at me at her job before when I went to visit and I never understood why. He's a drug addict who does a lot of cocaine. He is an alcoholic. He has court for attempted manslaughter soon, and he is a cheater. He talks about his ex to her and gets upset about his ex. He can have her. She's just going to end up abandoned and alone. All because she threw me away for some POS who gives her that temporary high in the honeymoon phase. I would have given her everything, and I am as loyal as they come. I'll be filing for full custody, for separation divorce, and will be filing for an emergency custody order today or Monday after she leaves for work. After she fell back asleep at 8 a.m. after insulting me and blaming me and lying the whole time, I went back into her phone. Went to the very beginning of their thread and took photos of everything. I sent myself the video as well and it's clearly not me in it and very clearly her. I am broken in every sense, extremely angry, disappointed, betrayed, and everything in between. But at the same time I am numb. I got my closure, and I got my proof that I am nothing to her. That was all I needed to stop the tears. At least for now. I have never been cheated on before, especially not to this degree. My heart goes out to all of you experiencing the same or something similar. Stay strong, and keep moving forward. We will get through this. Oh, side note, she has untreated BPD. Self-medicates with marijuana. Second story. I'm concerned about my 30M wife's 28F new friend, 29F, and am doubting her intentions. Would appreciate your perspective. I, 30M, have been married to my wife Sam, 28F, for 3 years. About a year ago, we moved to a new city because I was offered a promotion. Sam was hesitant at first but soon came around to the idea. Since arriving in the city, we have both been busy with work and have struggled to make new friends. Around 4 months in, Sam told me she had met a new friend, Jane, 29F, and they had a lot in common. I was happy for her, and we planned a double date with Jane and her husband a few weeks later. At the first dinner, we started to make the usual small talk, but when I tried to engage with Jane, she seemed cold and dismissive. For the rest of the night, I was left to speak to the husband while my wife and Jane were deep in conversation. Every time I tried to join their chat, Jane started talking to my wife again. The husband never tried to get involved. I brushed this off as Jane may be being a bit shy around new people and forgot about it. Over the next month, Sam and Jane would text constantly, have long phone calls at night, and meet up a couple of times a week for coffee lunch. This didn't bother me, and I just thought that they were forming a close friendship. We then went out again for dinner. And the same thing happened, although Jane spoke to the whole group more this time. But she made a number of comments alluding to her being bisexual and her and husband being in some sort of open relationship. When we moved on to a bar, Jane sat across from my wife and started openly flirting with her. She would make suggestive comments, compliment her, and use any excuse to make physical contact with her, touching her hands, shoulders, etc. When we got home, I made a joke asking Sam if she enjoyed her date with Jane. She looked confused and asked what I meant. I said that Jane had made me a bit uncomfortable with her flirting, but she said that's just how she is. I told her that I wasn't sure Jane just wanted to be friends and asked her to be careful. For reference, Sam has never shown any real interest in women, and as far as I know, she's straight. She is also endearingly naive and will always see the best in people. The texting and calls continued, and Sam started going over to Jane's apartment at least once a week and wouldn't come home until quite late. I was wary, but she would always tell me what they had done, watched, etc. After one of these visits, I asked what Jane's husband was up to and was slightly shocked to hear that he was away on a business trip. Apparently he traveled a lot and Jane didn't like being home alone. This came to a boiling point a few weeks ago, when I took Jane's husband to play golf. We were supposed to go out for drinks dinner after with the other 2 guys, but they both had to cancel last minute. On the 10-minute drive back to my house, I could see Jane's husband texting Jane. Jane and Sam were supposed to be going out for shopping and lunch, but when we arrived at my place they both looked flustered, sitting at opposite ends of the couch. We made awkward small talk for a while, but I went into the bedroom. I noticed Jane's smartwatch sitting by the bed. They left quickly and I decided it was time to talk to Sam. I casually asked her what she bought at the mall and where they went for lunch. She said they decided to stay home instead because Jane had a headache. I asked her to be honest about what they had done, and she swore that they had just chatted all afternoon and they were just friends. I told her I was uncomfortable with a lot of things that have happened, but she tried to reassure me. I noticed later that the smartwatch was gone, but I didn't bring this up to Sam. Since then there have been no phone calls or messages while I was around, and Sam seemed extra loving and attentive. She rarely brought up Jane, but last night she mentioned that she was going to a concert with Jane on Saturday, then would crash at her place. I said I wasn't comfortable with this and offered to pick her up instead. She got angry and said that I was acting controlling and crazy, then went to bed. We haven't spoken since, but am I overreacting here? Should I try to stop her from staying over on Saturday? I think I trust Sam, but something is telling me that her relationship with Jane is not just as friends. Should I snoop? Wife made a new friend and I am concerned about their close relationship. Update. After reading your messages and comments, my head was a mess. I decided I needed some firm proof that Sam was cheating before I confronted her. When I got home from work, Sam had made dinner as normal and sat with me while I ate. I acted normally with her, and she caught me off guard by apologizing for her behavior the night before. She asked if I was still willing to pick her up, or she would even try to find someone selling a ticket if I wanted to come along. I asked her to try to find a ticket and she seemed happy. The rest of the night was normal, and after we went to bed, I couldn't sleep. Around 1 a.m., Sam was sound asleep, so I grabbed her phone and went to the bathroom. I unlocked it. We know each other's passcodes and braced myself. I knew they texted each other on WhatsApp, so I started by trying to find any other messaging apps. I checked everywhere and used the trick someone recommended of looking at the battery usage to see the most used apps. I didn't find anything. Sam is not into social media and doesn't use Instagram, Snapchat, etc. I also checked her browser history, emails, photos, call logs, deleted items, etc., and couldn't find anything out of the ordinary. I decided to check WhatsApp next and opened the chat with Jane. I found hundreds of messages, sometimes up to 50 per day between them. Around 99% of them were completely normal, talking about TV shows, books, music, recipes, family, day-to-day life, etc. The other 1% that might be a bit suspect included: Jane would often bring up spicy parts of books and TV shows and want to talk about it. This happened regularly and Sam would engage, but not in too much detail. One conversation about sex that Jane initiated, which came from a scene in a book. She was complaining that her husband is submissive and got quite explicit. Sam shared a bit too much about our sex life, but nothing outrageous, and she was very complimentary about me. Jane replied she was jealous in a joking way with some emojis. Jane casually mentioned that she had a friend over a few times when Sam asked what she was up to. Sam's replies were always along the lines of "have fun." Jane would complain about her husband a lot and ask about our relationship. Again, Sam was complimentary and didn't say anything particularly negative about me. Jane sent Sam a link to a sex toy asking for her opinion. Sam replied, "Oh yeah, we have one of those, it's great." There were no nudes or anything pointing towards them having had sex. Nothing had been deleted. I checked some of the chats with her other friends and they were very similar. What was most concerning was the way which Jane texted Sam. She would always initiate the conversation and follow up 3-4 times until Sam responded. She would then start calling if she didn't respond. There were also a few messages where Jane's tone changed when Sam wouldn't reply. She would become less friendly and cold. Also, when Jane asked Sam to do something together, there was always a subtle guilt trip added, like she didn't want to go alone because of social anxiety. She was scared being home by herself, etc. The messages calls slowed down in the last few weeks because they were both complaining about being busy and Jane had been out of town. Even though I didn't find the smoking gun I was looking for, it's clear that Jane and her weird husband are bad news for our marriage. We will be having a come to Jesus conversation tonight where I will get the truth because Sam is a terrible liar. If nothing more has happened, I will make it clear that divorce is still on the table if these creeps are not permanently and immediately removed from our lives. Third story. H. 35M. Left me and my son for coworker, 27F. My D-Day was March 1st. This wasn't my husband's first time cheating. I was just dumb enough to believe he would change. He was seeing a coworker behind my back for 2 months while I was at home taking care of our sick son and thriving business. He said all the typical things. He was unhappy for years, we weren't intimate often, he felt trapped. He didn't know how to communicate with me, and he wants to stop hurting me. I'm ashamed to admit I did the pick-me dance, begging, pleading. I was so stressed I almost landed in the hospital. He stopped talking to Al for a month and went right back to her when reconciling didn't work. According to STBXH, me kicking him out of the house meant automatic divorce. He's now living in a tiny room he rents in a house. He agreed to go to counseling but told the therapist he was done and didn't see a path to fixing. Therapist was wondering why he even agreed to therapy if he was set on moving on. According to him, the owl is familiar, and he feels like he's looking in a mirror. They have an emotional connection he's never had with anyone, including me. He didn't know he needed this until he met her. He's never met anyone he wanted to become sexual with on conversation alone and not physical attraction. He did not do this to my kid. Only to me, so I should stop saying he left me and our kid. For added context, I was here on an H-2B visa and can only stay in a city to work for 6 months, based on need, until she has to go to another state for work. She has no car to get herself around and lives with other roommates wherever she goes. She is also younger, she's 27, my husband is 35, and has no kids or real responsibilities. I have no idea how this woman compares to anything I am or have been to my STBXH. He has chosen to leave us for her and she doesn't even live here right now. She's states away. This is also coming from a man who says he needs sex every day but is in a relationship with a woman who doesn't live here. Checks out. Anyways, this is long enough as it is. I can't stand the fact that the owl won and that I'm left to pick up the pieces and look stupid for doing the pick-me dance. I can't stand to look at his face when I'm forced to talk to him for the sake of our son. He never bothers to ask how I'm doing or if I'm okay. 12 years, and he acts like everything is all good. I especially can't stand the fact that my son may have to meet the owl someday if STBXH manages to stay with her. Any words of encouragement? I barely get any sleep anymore. Update. Other woman from my original post wrote me this message below. I wish I was making this up. She's actually asking for forgiveness for helping break up my family. She wrote it in Spanish, so I used Google Translate to post. For context, she is a coward. She states the opposite. I showed up to my STB ex-husband's job a month ago so he could see our son, and she ran into the kitchen and hid from me. Hello, there are no words I can use for this moment, or for you. You are free to think the worst about me. You can think that I am the worst thing that has ever walked on this earth, and maybe I am because I never, ever thought of doing this to hurt another person, much less someone who has done nothing to me, who I don't even know. Believe it or not, with my heart in my hand I ask you to forgive me. That if there is even a piece of you that in the future can do it, I hope you can do it. I would also like to ask your forgiveness in front of you because I am not a coward. I can be whatever you want for you and only time will tell. WTF. Fourth story. Did my girlfriend, F23, cheat on me, M24? Where do I go from here? We've been together for 1 year. My girlfriend went to Spain for a student exchange and stayed there for 3 months. She hung out with a lot of people, including one Spanish guy she followed on Instagram. She came home a few days ago and has since been posting Instagram stories about love, summer adventures and other things. They follow each other on Instagram, like each other's stories and pictures, and message each other often. They are also on many pictures she and her friends shared. They seem close. I'm heartbroken. I gave everything I had to her, and she seemed to forget about me for 3 months. We talk daily, but it feels like I was just somebody she used to know. Now that she's back home, suddenly I exist again. I can ask her, but I feel like I won't get a straight answer. If I ask to see her phone, I will be called insecure and paranoid. Girlfriend went to Spain for 3 months, met a guy there, now seems more interested in him than in our year-long relationship since returning home. Update. Update to yesterday's. I talked to her. Long story short, it ended in a fight. She called me insecure and controlling, of course she did. I called her a liar. After about 20 minutes, she admitted that she had a hookup with that guy while she was in Spain, because we were on a break. WTF. We never talked about any of this, and this break was one-sided. And then, she had the audacity to tell Emmy that IT doesn't count. Because she came home, we are officially in a relationship again. I told her to go back to her hookup buddy. I'm done with her. There was a waterfall of tears and begging, but I no longer saw her as anything but a stranger. So yeah, fuck this. On top of being a cheater, she is insulting my intelligence. I hate this person with all my being. I don't wish her anything good. Apologies to the admins for cursing, but I'm having a really bad day. Fifth story. Wife cheated on me and then asked me for a long-term separation. My wife 34/F after 13 years of being in a relationship with me 33/M decided to go on a discreet Ashley Madison type website to find someone to connect with. She told me sex wasn't the idea going into it, but it happened. She began chatting with the guy 46/M orthopedic surgeon the day before, and they met up when she knew I had plans. She then 3 to 4 days later told me she wanted to take a break and us separate for a while so she can decide what she wanted in our marriage. I did not know at the time. Fast forward 3 weeks, and I'm in Florida giving her space and clearing my head with the thought I might be able to change my bad habits and fix my marriage when my best friend and his wife sat me down and told me she cheated on me. They knew because she slipped up one night and told a mutual friend who then told my friends I was seeing in Florida. When I confronted my wife, she admitted to me that what I was told is true and was adamant it was one time and they no longer talk. Fast forward 3 days and she still is talking to him. Was remaining in contact with him the whole time. She lied to me because I had accused her of cheating about a week after it happened, and she told me I was crazy and making it up and needed therapy. Now I'm having to pick up the pieces, and I went so far as to offer to forgive her and us move on, but she didn't want that. I'm posting here because maybe someone has lived this nightmare and can give me some advice because I'm spiraling out of control with heartbreak and grief.